Welcome to How Would You Write It? The podcast where we get a chance to sit down and talk to all types of creatives. Hi, I'm Nanea Taylor, and I am so very pleased that I get a chance to talk to so many people, so many creatives about their art and what inspires them. So if you are interested in the art of storytelling, you're in the right place. So hit that subscribe button and let's get started. I am so very pleased, so very happy to have my dear friend, Gillian Fritzsche. I'm so very pleased and happy to have Gillian Fritzsche on today. She is a writer, producer, and I am very honored to have her because I love her as a director. And she carries these other hats, but I know her as Gillian, the director. And she is so wonderful. Her art is so aspiring. And I am so excited that she gets to represent women directors, producers, and writers today. She's a director who has award-winning projects, including the comedy The Rock and Roll Dreams of Duncan Christopher, the web series Bronx-ish, and the short documentary Reopening. She most recently wrote a dozen episodes for the children's series Story Lab, and she was a third place winner of the Pano Marilyn Horowitz screenwriting contest with her script Tent City, which we're going to talk about today. She specializes in stories about identity and transformation, believing everyone has the potential to become someone else's hero. You hear that? That's who Gillian is. And I just love that she's here. Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you so much for having me, Tay. I'm so pleased to be here and spend this time with you.
I am so happy and so very grateful that you have come on. I know that people watching this who are still trying to hold on to the hope in this industry or who are trying to, put their foot, they're just stepping into the industry, that they can learn so much from you. So let's get started with my
Okay.
questions for you. So let's start first on, I'm going to start first on the writing career. What started you in wanting to be a screenwriter?
Gosh, let's go back to sixth grade. I'm one of those kids just like you, who was writing those scripts as a kid and going, I can do this. I can tell a story. I can put words in people's mouths and then they'll say them and we'll put it in front of the class. And my sixth grade teacher was like, oh, this is fun. Let's do it. Extra credit. So that was the first time I had that experience of um, writing something down and people performing my words, and it was so delicious. But it took a while before I said to myself, well, this is something I want to do for real. Um, I had written a couple plays, so I had put some plays up when I was in late high school, early college.
Mm-hmm.
And that was community theater, community plays, a lot of fun. I got to direct those as well. And had a great experience. At one point I had a cast of 30, performing the words that I'd written, and we had 200, a theater of 200 people. It was such a great experience. That was when I was 18, 19 years old. And so but all of that was like, oh, I'm still kind of trying to figure stuff out. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. I was in college and, um, but it was after graduating, and I'd ended up working in theater and in kind of arts administration. And I went to see a movie and I had an expectation of what I thought the movie was going to be, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I had that experience and I came home and I was like, I'm going to write what I thought it should have been. And so
I did
I
that. I
just,
used to watch Star Trek all the time, and I used to like, why is your hero never sitting in a captain's chair? I'm gonna write an episode.
yes,
She's sitting in the
love
captain's
that.
chair. She's the only person who didn't get the chance to sit in it. Because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, make it what you believe it should be and show us, right? And so that's what I did with this movie. I won't mention it. And I wrote a treatment. So I didn't full on write the script, but I wrote the treatment and was like, this is what this movie should have been. beginning, middle, end, what we should have been wrestling with, and those sorts of things. And um, it was I wrote that, and I felt like I got it out of me. And it was a little bit after that, I had moved from Vancouver to Los Angeles, and had kind of left theater, was kind of working in independent film as an AD and production coordinator, kind of working my way up to line producer. And I was like, that yearning to be putting words on the page is still present in me. And so I started doing it again and putting words on the page, and took some screenwriting courses, took a diploma program. Um, I didn't really have the time for like a full master's, but was able to get into a really great program in Los Angeles, where I met a lot of other wonderful filmmakers and screenwriters and learned so much that I just hadn't been able to pick up in college. I had one screenwriting class in college. And so this was a fantastic education, and just really started, making a habit out of putting words on the page. And my first job actually was working for someone writing how-to videos for about.com. That was my first paid paid writing job, so that was a lot of fun. And they were like short little 5-7 minute videos, how-to videos. But shortly after I had line produced my first feature, I was recommended by a fellow producer I knew, who knew a producer who was looking for a screenwriter who could write for low budget. And I had line produced low budget, and I had worked as an AD in low budget. And so now I've got the screenwriting education. And so she's like, I think you might be a good fit here. So yeah, that was first actual screenwriting work was this low budget kind of road buddy comedy movie set in the bluegrass state. And that was a lot of fun. It was fun to break the story and try to figure out, is this a drama? Is it a comedy? Which direction do we want to go here? And so that was that was my first paid screenwriting for a narrative project. And then after that, you just kind of get busy working, and then you get busy having babies. I've got two beautiful children that I love. And so I really didn't kind of pursue it until more recently, the last couple of years. And in that time, you just try to write what's in your heart and let it flow out of you. So I have a couple, well, more than a couple. I've got a bunch of specs, like every writer should, and all of that. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, it did, and I love it.
Great.
And you also showed that, life happens, but you still
Mm-hmm.
kept pursuing and writing. So
Yeah.
how did you roll in, was directing, and I'm assuming it wasn't, was directing, no, so it was after you're starting writing. So what made you go and say, okay, I wrote, let me go direct? So what moved you
Yeah.
to directing? Because I know,
Well,
I'm assuming producing came after directing, but did producing come before directing,
oh,
before you did the producer
that's a
hat?
good question. I, those plays that I wrote in late high school, early college, I produced and directed those. And
Oh.
I had people give me the money to do what I needed to do, and give me the the theater to produce it in, the space to produce it in. And um so there's people that kind of helped in that regard, but the pushing it forward, that was me. That was me directing, that was me producing, that was me, crewing up and casting and all of that. And so those experiences were fantastic to kind of teach me what I really enjoyed. And it was in that process that I realized I do enjoy being an actor, but I enjoy being a director more. Um, and it was great to know that I can produce if I need to. Um, so I ended up with a double degree, basically, for all intents and purposes. It's a single degree on my diploma, but I was 3 credits short of a double degree, in both film and theater. And in both back, the crew side of things and the performance side of things. It was a degree called Drama, Television, Film, Performance, and Production. And so when I left with that degree, I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to do theater, if I'm going to do film. So I applied for everything I could,
Mhm.
and just said, oh, whatever one I get first, I'll pursue that. So I happened to get my first job was at a theater company, where I was, strangely enough, the costume designer for the summer and the manager of the costume shop. I had worked with the costume designer at my college and had a lot of experience in her costume shop, and had designed a
I
couple
was just going to
shows.
ask you, how did you get
Yeah.
slipped into that?
Yeah, it seems a weird transition, but given the amount of time I'd spent in the costume shop and working under her, kind of apprenticing under her, it actually made sense at the time. So, but what I learned was that, the arts are not just frivolous. The arts have to be run by people who understand budgets and who understand fundraising and who understand financing and so I had that kind of realization of, oh, arts need producing. And, it was an education for the artist young person in me. Um, and so I kind of left aside the person who had such joy in directing as, that late high school, early college person, and was like, I'm a director. And you kind of go to college and you're like, oh, everyone is like me. We all came here believing we can be the director. And I had it might be a function of my age, the generation I'm in. I'm one of the youngest Gen X. But for me, it kind of pulled me back a little bit of going, oh, if everyone wants to do it, maybe the desire I have is not that real. And so, no, this has really happened. And so I pulled it back and I thought, okay, how do I make money being near the thing I love? And so I went into theater and focused on being an arts administrator. Um, and worked doing that and had a great fun and made great relationships and produced beautiful art as an arts administrator. And oftentimes I production managed several of the shows. And it was after I had been in that space and moved to Los Angeles and kind of realized I also want to write, that I was able to kind of be honest with myself and say, no, I've actually wanted to direct this whole time, and I've just been
Oh, and so
ignoring the
okay.
desire. Yeah. So when I started writing, it was when I was like, I'm gonna have to direct something I've written at some point because this is not going away. This is something I can't ignore. And so after I'd written a couple feature specs, I said, okay, let me write a short for me to direct. And I wrote that in 2009, and we shot it in 2010. It's my short film called Sunny. And that was released in 2013, just after the birth of my first child. Because it took a long time to get posts together, especially we were moving and being pregnant and having a baby and that sort of thing. And so but I persevered and there it is. That's out in the world. So it really was for me coming to terms and being honest with myself about what my desires really were and are, and not kind of running away from them because it feels like, oh, if everyone wants to do that, I guess it's not that special. Maybe I'm not being honest with myself.
Mhm.
So I had to be honest with myself
So
and
you
say,
had to
no,
do
this
an
is.
internal reflection as you're
Hmm.
doing something that was going to bring in money. You had
Hmm.
to actually go, is this making me happy? Yes, it's paying bills, but is this truly where I feel I should be doing in this
Hmm.
life? And so with you internally thinking about it, you said, the epiphany came.
Yeah.
I want to be a director.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
do have a little bit of jealousy of younger female directors who knew what they wanted right out of college, dove right into it. Because in hindsight, that really was me, but I was too afraid. Or that really was me, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what steps I needed to take. Now, part of it is I'm from Canada, a little city in Canada that, I'm not from Vancouver, I'm not from Los Angeles, I'm not from New York City. It wasn't ever a thing that I thought, oh, this is what I will do. I was literally in rural Canada going, I don't know. But then you end up in Los Angeles and you're like, well, there's opportunity here. So that's a whole other story, but yeah, so I had to realize and be honest with myself and say this is what I want to pursue.
Okay, so you shot your first short that you wrote
Yes.
while pregnant, I'm assuming.
No, I shot it in 2010 and we got pregnant in 2011.
Okay.
So yeah, but I did post. So we were doing the sound mix in 2012, just a week after my daughter was born. So I actually have photos. We're at the sound mix and I'm kind of holding her just like right here and we're doing the sound mix and yeah, so her first trip into Manhattan from Brooklyn was for the sound mix for my short film.
Helmets. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And what was the short about?
So the short is actually very similar to Tent City. It was the same, similar kind of character, and both of those are inspired by the homeless population in Los Angeles. So, and there's a homeless population in Vancouver, and obviously still in New York City, and it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart and my husband's heart. So we do kind of donate our time when we can and our resources when we can, to organizations that we feel are making a difference. So, when we were in Los Angeles, you know, depending on where you were in the city, you'd have the people that you recognized that
Mm-hmm.
you knew were sleeping rough, and you start to, as you go about your life and day, and for me it was a common jog that I used to do from where I lived to the Rose Bowl and back again, and I would see the same people on my jog, and you start to kind of recognize them, say hello, hear a little joke, that sort of thing as you come and go. And so I started to wonder what is the life behind here? What are things that I don't know? What are things that I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm.
And what could that be? And so I think there's, as a young lady in Los Angeles, there's still a little bit of a fear of who do I engage with, who is safe to engage with. And so the short was really inspired by the idea of what if I had no fear, and what could the background be, and what could be there that I wouldn't even consider could be there, in terms of how they got to where they are right now. So I wrote this short about a young lady who befriends a gentleman who's sleeping in his RV that hasn't moved in decades, and just totally dusty tarps everywhere, and he gathers recycling, and yeah, when she befriends him, it changes both of their lives really, and that's the short Sunny.
So let's talk about Tent City real quick
Sure.
because I don't want to get off of this and then move into other. I want to talk about Tent City.
Yeah.
And Tent City, you said won the Pano Maryland Horowitz screenwriting contest with Tent City. So
Third place, yes.
third place.
Hmm.
Okay, third place winner. It's still
Yeah.
one. It's still one.
Top, one of the top. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top three.
Top
Okay.
three.
All right, let's talk about that. All right.
Sure.
Um,
So that
so
yeah, back in that time, that was really when the advice to make a good short and then make sure you have a feature. If everyone's like, "Do you have a feature version of this?" That
mhm.
was the advice at the time. So I tried to write that.
Okay, so this came up, Tent City came about from the short, the original short that you did, because yeah, you do hear that. They'll be like, "Oh, this is a great short," like you said, and then they'll be like, "Well, where's the feature? Like, what's the long form of this?" And so
Yeah.
Tent City came from that.
Inspired by.
Inspired.
Definitely not totally the same characters,
Mm-hmm.
but inspired by that sense of looking at the situation from the homeless perspective,
Uh-huh.
rather than from a housed perspective, and kind of thinking through. So I did a lot of research. I read um, bunch of different books on the homeless experience that were written by people who had been homeless. I talked to people who are working in the homeless space, and put all of that into all of. I mean, honestly, just I hope it's full of compassion and heart, and just no matter who you're thinking of, that you think in your head is a homeless person, the experiences that you've had. I hope that as many as I can are represented, and different experiences about why they're sleeping rough, why they're in this stage in life. And the goal I have is that there's a hope that everyone can level up is not the right word, but um, get out of the situation that they don't want to be in, right? And so tent city, the idea of a tent city is one of those transitional communities, when the shelters don't work, when other methods don't work. The idea that people who are actually able to have agency, and they've got a tent, or they've got an RV, or they can get into a tiny home, and that sort of idea, and use that as a jumping off point to actually be able to feed themselves and get a shower and go find work. well, they, are just in a rough spot. Um, that was something that was really big at the time when I was, transitioning from having shot Sunny to trying to figure out what the feature would look like. And so that was the idea I came up with of this is the goal of these characters.
I love it. I love it. All right. Really quick, just a slight pivot here. When you're looking as a director for projects that you want to be, you want to be a part of and you want to direct, what inspires you and what are you looking for, or what can come across your desk and you
Mhm.
go, ooh, like what energy, what kind of storylines, like what makes Gillian say, hey, I want to be a part of this project as a director?
Yeah, that is a tough one because there's a couple different projects that I've been attached to, both like officially, but also loosely, and some that I've brought in for myself that are all very different.
Mhm.
Um, and there's a crime drama that I've been attached to that hasn't been able to get off the ground. There's a an action ensemble piece about female vigilantes that's been fantastic. There's an outdoor adventure project. Um, but, I think what was is probably a through line that is really under the hood for me is that idea of identity. And sometimes it really is about, someone discovering something about themselves that they don't know. And they go through the process of kind of peeling back those layers and realizing there was something stronger, something good, something more fierce than they thought they had.
Mhm.
Um, or it's about other people, having that realization of what was in there that they couldn't see on the surface before they stopped to spend time
Mhm.
and, peel back and the relationship grows and that sort of thing. And so those um, questions about who am I, who are you, what do we perceive about each other, those are things that really, really make me excited as a storyteller. And that could be in any genre. Yeah. So,
Talking about genres, like what is your favorite genre to write? What is your favorite genre to work on as a producer or director? Like, is there a favorite genre? Like, I know my favorite, I love all genres, but I know
mhm.
my favorite genre is sci-fi or
Mm.
action, where someone is getting,
And I've read your action and you write fantastic action, Tay.
thank you, baby girl. But yeah, so what is your if favorite genre to write, even though you're good at all? Or
Oh, that's
favorite
fun. That's fun.
genre that you would love to work on, writing or directing or producing?
Yeah. No, I'd really love to work on action. And I'd really love to work on sci-fi. A sci-fi action would be just the best. The projects that I've got going right now as a screenwriter, I'm working on a sci-fi piece, and it's the first time I've actually um, worked on a sci-fi piece, and it is flowing. It is flowing, and I'm loving it. So I've written drama, I've written comedy, um, I've written faith-based, I've written action, um, but this sci-fi is really feeling like home. So it's kind of weird. But as a director, I can't really, I don't want to limit myself, and it's a funny thing of,
Yeah,
you
and
really
don't.
gotta,
And
yeah,
that's what is one of my pet peeves. Is like they want you to pick a
yeah,
genre to stick to, and I'm just like, but I love all genres. Like I have a
oh,
favorite, but I shouldn't be pigeonholed to one
yeah.
genre when I love all of them. The bane of my existence is rom-com, though. I'm trying so hard, and they always come out dramedies, and I'm just like, I want it to be funny. Because I got a rom com in my head for Tracy Ellis Ross and Pedro Pascal right now, and I'm just like, I need to write it, but it's a lot of sexual chemistry that I'm just like, how the hell do you put this on page? But I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I've been reading some romance, some really raunchy romances. Jillian, it's really raunchy. It has taken me down into some depths of whoa, we put this on page, but I know we can't do that really in a script. But I'm learning. I'm getting there. I'm
Yeah,
gonna get this rom com down, Jillian. I'm gonna get
I
it.
believe in you.
because
I
that's the
believe in
only
you.
vein I'm like, I'm not great at rom-coms, but I'm working on this because I have Pedro and Tracy in my mind as muses for this. I'm
Oh,
gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
that sounds
But
amazing.
I love the fight, the fact that you also are like, I'm not gonna be held in this run genre. I'm gonna stretch myself and write sci-fi, and I'm just gonna put it out there. If you need a reader for the sci-fi, you know, to send it to me. I
Thanks,
love,
babe.
you know me. I love me some sci-fi. Send it to me. So I'm excited about you writing sci-fi. Can you tell us a little bit about it? A little log line if you have one. I know how hard sometimes you don't have one before the script is done, but
Yeah, I do have one for this one. I'm not going to share it, but I will share who I'm working on it with as a mentor. His name is Jonathan E. Stewart and James Caffey. They both run a group called Narrative Drive, and they have been stellar in helping me figure out the story and helping me figure out um, the characters and you know, another group that actually has had a really great impact on it was the Nantucket Film Festival's screenwriter sessions, and I was fortunate to receive a um, uh, stipend or scholarship to attend the screenwriter sessions a year ago, and through Pano, another shout out, and that's where this very seed of the idea for the sci-fi was sprouted, and so it's been a whole process. I first started writing it in 2020 and really got the outlines sort of started with screenwriter sessions. And then when I was able to bring it into this new cohort of screenwriters that are being mentored by Jonathan and James, it has just blossomed and it's been such a rewarding experience. So I'm really grateful for them. I think it's really important for writers to always be learning and always be willing to, you know, look ahead to writers who have gone ahead, who are willing to work with us and help teach us, and be humble to know that, you know, sometimes your understanding of tent poles, your understanding of the turns in a story, your understanding of what a good ending looks like can be improved. And you can always learn new things about what story looks like. And obviously, we can learn other structures than the typical three-act structure we're also used to, and how they can inform how we tell our stories too. So it's been a really great experience with this script, from its first inception to now.
I love it. And if you didn't hear her, reiterate this. I don't think it's gonna layman's term it. Like just be open to learning and having someone say, hey, you know, if you do it this way, have you considered this? And
Hmm.
and I know our scripts and our projects are our babies. And you don't
Yeah.
want nobody coming in telling you how to raise your baby.
Hmm.
But sometimes their advice is good
Yeah.
and it can make you a better writer. And no, you don't always have to take everybody's advice on your stuff, but you should always be open to
Yeah.
hearing because you want to make the best of your stuff. You want the best that you've written. You truly want that. You don't want air blowing up your
Yeah.
and then it gets out there and everybody be like, what is this?
Yeah.
So find a tribe. Um, and if you have a chance to go to these cohorts
Hmm.
and meet people who are established, who have the experience, and they're willing to give you a chance to read your stuff and work with you, jump at it.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Always take those opportunities.
always take that
And
opportunity.
I, for a long time, was very precious about my writing and wasn't going to show anybody, and held it so closely and was terrified of letting other people read what I'd written. And it was the process of saying, no, I actually do need to share it, get feedback, learn from it. It was hard. It was hard to do that, but it's been so worth it.
I love it. I love it. Um, let's talk about Story Labs and the children's series.
Sure. Yeah, that was a little over 2 years ago, I guess 2.5 years ago. Um, Great screenwriting program in LA that I was a part of, Act One. It was in the alumni group on Facebook that they were posting about this. Um, it had been this writer who had been writing all the episodes for Story Lab. It was actually called 252 before that. And she was looking for a team of writers to join her. She'd been gotten approval to like expand her team and that sort of thing. And um, so this is for a curriculum called Orange. It's a SVOD sort of situation. They create content for churches. And so it was a weekly kids show that was about 20 minutes long and included some how-to kind of science elements and then also, a version of a Bible story that kind of fit with the science elements. And so yeah, I was able to do kind of a pitch script
Mm-hmm.
based on an element and after that, heard, we'd love to have you on the team. So um all in, I was on that team for a little over 2 years. And I wrote 15 episodes, which was great fun. It was really great. Every time we got together, we'd look at the theme for the month and kind of together break the story in a way that of thinking through, okay, what are our science pieces? What are our activity pieces that are going to support the themes of the story? How are we going to tell the story? What sort of artistic elements are we using? Lego, animation, like those sorts of different things. And just working with the team, and then we go away, write our own episodes, and I often, not often, every time, got one round of notes. Sometimes I should have gotten two, but she would she would take it and finish it if there anything that needed to be fixed for the company. But yeah, I got about three more episodes that are still going to be released through their SVOD channel, and I'm saving every one of them so I can look back. It's really fun so fun to when you see you've put jokes in there, you've put bits and moments between the hosts and especially with the science activities of like, oh, how is this? I hope it works. Like, we had one where they had a speaker and the water and, changing the tone and the water was going to like move. And it was so cool to see that work on camera. So yeah, that was
What
Story
did
Lab.
you as a writer, as a director, as a producer, take away from that experience of working on those 15 episodes?
Yeah, it's really good to have an experience like that because you realize very quickly um, it's never going to be exactly as I wrote. It's never going to be exactly as I imagined. Um, I would hand the script over and oftentimes they would change a word or a prop just based on either their curriculum needs or other budget needs. Sometimes, they'd go to shoot this and they're lovely hosts. They have a team of, I think, 5 or 6 hosts, four to six hosts that have their own ideas of what might be a fun joke and that sort of thing. And of course, the production team will have their own ideas about how to do some of the motion graphics that are suggested or that sort of thing. And so it really was like, okay, once it's been handed over, they are taking control. It's theirs now. And you have to be okay with that. And, early on it was like, oh, but I didn't see this thing that I wrote. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool to see how they did that. Oh, yay. But yeah, getting comfortable with that part of the process was really
Releasing their
great.
vision
Yeah.
to the end decision maker.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, in my head, I always think that way as a screenwriter. Like, okay, yeah, I wrote the script this way, but I know that it's not finished or done being written, and
Mhm.
and it's not done until they hit a cut, and this is it on the final scene. And what I wrote may totally be totally different when it shows up on screen. So
Yeah.
you can't be precious
Yeah.
about it. Like you gotta be like, I created it. I wrote this thing and it's out there and it's there. And I'm just very happy that it got made, unless you're the final decision makers, unless
Hmm.
you're the director and producer.
Yeah.
Sometimes the production company who's behind it all, and you can have the final say on it. So that's the reason why I believe that you should wear multiple hats, as Gillian does. And she has been in theater, you have been doing a television series, you have done short films, you have done features, and you have had you've been the assistant director, you have been a producer. And I know I heard you say you've acted too.
A little bit. I
A
mean,
little bit.
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Mostly in high school and college.
Okay. But
Yeah,
I'm sure if I had to say, hey, Jillian, can you come on set and read this line? You'll be like, oh, okay, I don't want to, but I'll do it.
I'll be all right. I might have fun. I might
Cool.
even have fun. Yeah, it's too much. You can't pursue everything.
Yeah, I
I had
know,
a
but it is to me how, and it's just my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm not saying this is how the industry goes. I'm just saying that I believe that you should wear multiple hats in this industry. You should try to get as much experience. And I had a guest on who told me she hates the word networking, and I understood why she said that. She said you need to build relationships,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
get that, and build relationships with people who are next to you, you
Yeah.
know. And if you can find someone who's ahead of you and they're willing to work with you, that's great. Grab on, and then build relationships.
Yeah.
Not I'm using you, or I am going to utilize you for what I need, and I'm just going to move on. Build relationships, because this
Yeah.
industry is already cutthroat the way it is. And so if you have established connections with people, like, see what they need help on. Jump
Hmm.
on if they're filming something and you can help, go jump and help, and on their film. And when it's your turn, when you're ready, hopefully they'll jump and help you, and you all rise together. So,
Hopefully. Yeah.
or they don't forget you when the door finally opens and they walk in, they won't forget you when they're in the room. So do it like that. Like,
Yeah.
establish those relationships, get as much experience as you can, and wear the hats. Put the hat on,
Yeah.
if you can. If you can put on multiple hats and work it and get as much experience as you can, get as much as you can. That's one thing I love about Julie, that she has that experience, that she is working her craft, and she is willing to put her heart on the table for the things that she loves, like Tent City and all of that. I love that. But anyway, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going off. I'm getting off the crate box and stepping down now and getting back to the interview. Okay. So tell me about Intermission, which I believe you have out now in the circuit, right?
Yes. Intermission is a feature documentary produced and directed by Benjamin Roberts
Mm-hmm.
and edited by my husband, Ryan. And I was a writer on the project. And what happened is it's really funny because my short film Intermission, just as an aside, is not my short film Reopening, as an aside, is about small businesses that were persevering during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And Intermission is about circus artists that were persevering during COVID. And so it felt like a really great match when the opportunity came up to help
I didn't
work
even
on
think
that
about the
project.
circus workers
Yeah, in
during
Las
COVID.
Vegas. Yeah, during COVID, the theater shut down. They were completely out of work. And one of the interesting things about circus artists you don't think about is that the one of the ways in which they stay in shape is just by doing the shows. And
Mm-hmm.
so if they don't have the shows to do, where are they going to exercise? Where are they going to maintain their craft? Where are they going to, keep doing and keep their body in peak condition? And it was a real challenge for hundreds of people, perhaps thousands, in Las Vegas during COVID. And so this documentary follows a lot of those circus artists and what different things that they worked on, the different things that they tried to do. And so Ben went and shot those interviews, shot some great footage, and put something together, and then came to Ryan and I and said, "Listen, I would love to get some feedback, some help on this, and so could you guys help me work? Let's work together to make it better." And so I came in as a writer and reviewed all the interviews, reviewed all the footage, and wrote a completely new paper edit. And Ryan came on and executed that paper edit, and then we worked together to really solidify the final version. And it was such a great experience working with my husband. I don't often work with him, but I love when I get to. And so yeah, that was such a great experience. And so that is in the festival circuit right now, and it just premiered its first festival, and it won the Audience and the Jury Award, which was great. It's so exciting. We're so happy. So we're waiting to hear back from other festivals, and hopefully it does well.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And I'll be happy when you tell me where it is on cable.
Oh, that'd be great. I hope so.
Okay. Let's talk about doors.
Sure. Yeah, Doors is by another Twitter screenwriter person we both know, by Gina DeAngelis.
Gina, I love Gina. And she's a
Yes,
phenomenal screenwriter. I'm
she's
trying to
so
get her to
good.
come on. I'm trying to get her to come on, but
Okay,
Gina
keep
is
pushing.
fantastic.
Gina's great. So we met on Twitter, and she had uh, donated to Reopening, which was really wonderful and generous of her. And then, so we kind of got better connected because of that. And then when we were talking about, she was putting together the group of people to produce Doors, she reached out and asked some questions, and then we just kept talking and said, hey, let's just work together on it.
Hmm.
So I came on board Doors as a producer, and just one of those things you do because I have experience as AD and we're trying to keep the budget down. I said, I think we can handle this. I'm also going to AD,
Hmm.
and so it was great to work with her as an AD and as a producer, and work together to bring her vision for this story to life. I feel bad. I can't remember the name of the author who wrote the short story that Doors is based on. So hopefully we can put that in the show notes. But um, yeah, so we shot that I guess a year and a half ago, and it's out on the festival circuit now. It's a short film, little psychological horror um, that shot around Halloween, and it's delightful and adorable about an aging couple that are really not agreeing about how to move forward with their retirement years. And the disagreements they get into, and what ultimately happens. It's kind of horrifying.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Is
Yeah.
there any place where we can um watch intermission or doors?
Not
Eh,
yet.
Not
If
yet.
I'll let you know if there's anything to update in the show notes. But for now, I don't have anything off the top of my head of screenings coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Driver. What is Driver about?
Sure, Driver is another short film that was shot about a year ago. It's based on the experience of a former baseball scout named Chuck Bushbeck, and he wrote a book. Sorry, Chuck, I can't remember the name of your book, but basically about his experiences and about how really everyone has purpose on this earth, and everyone has the ability to take the agency they need and go and make a difference in this world.
Hmm.
And so Driver is the result of some thoughts of how to put that into a narrative form. And so he's got this show about a kind of an Uber driver or a Lyft driver who is a former baseball star, but lost his family in an accident, nearly lost his own life in an overdose, and really didn't want to stick around. And so Driver the Short is about his experience overdosing and kind of a heavenly visit that he experiences. And kind of brings us into the backstory and shows us the backstory of why this driver feels so compelled to continue driving and help kind of be a therapist on the road. And that's what that's about.
I love
Yeah.
it. So is that in the circuit too, the festival
That's
circuit?
on the circuit right now, and I don't have any screenings off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. I should
That's
have written
okay.
those down.
That's okay. I'm just loving the fact that we're able to tell the audience all the different things that you've been working on. But I do have a question regarding what is the difference between the director and what the assistant director does? Because I know you've done assistant
Oh,
directing. Like,
yeah.
what is the different responsibilities there?
That's such a great question. I really love assistant directing. If you think back, the way I like to think about it is this: from producer to director to assistant director to kind of you start thinking, okay, production coordinator, unit production manager, you've got your director of photography, gaffer, and you kind of think through all the crew members, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of go back up and think about one person with a camera and an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is about what is if one person is doing everything right in this film, and you can get one person with a camera and an actor and you can tell a short story, right? But if you get two actors and you want to add someone who's going to run the camera for you, and maybe we need someone who's going to go and get batteries if we need them, and maybe we need someone to, actually record the audio, and then we need someone to mix the audio while they're recording, and then we need, so you kind of think, oh, crew list and that cast list is going to grow, 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 right?
Mhm.
And so if you don't have a huge crew, you have a producer and a PA. If you have a huge crew, you have 200 people, 1,000 people, depending on.
Mhm.
And one of the things that grew out of the ballooning crew members way back in the day was having an assistant, not to the director, but an assistant director. And when I'm not going to go into the history, but right now you have a director who's focused on your camera and focused on your actors and potentially also focused, if they still need to be, on production design in the moment. And that person, if they're focused on those things, can't really be focused on where the crew needs to be and where the cast needs to be if they're not on set yet, and how the machines get moved around. And
Mhm.
so where that would have been they are directing. They're like a stage director. They're directing the whole production back in a studio back in the day. Now they have a person whose job it is to make sure the things are where they need them to be,
Mhm.
so that that director can focus on
On what is in front of them.
performances. Yes. So the director will be focusing, like I said, on the performances, on the picture, on what's inside the frame,
Mhm.
and the assistant director is focusing on everything else.
So
Um,
the director can get focused on what's in. Okay,
yeah.
got you.
So
So if
where's
you're
the crew
setting
going
up
to
for the
be?
next scene, if you're setting, you're trying to, if there's another scene coming, you're trying to make sure that scene is ready, that everything is set up, the actor is ready to come in, or the second actor or the second protagonist or something like that is ready. You're doing that
Yeah.
portion of it ready, making sure that is ready.
Also, right by the director, making sure that if the director only has 45 minutes to get this shot, they know they only have 45 minutes to get this
Mhm.
shot. But when they're finished getting that shot in 45 minutes, the actors that they're going to need for the next scene have already gone through makeup. And
You're just trying to make sure everything is running.
yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. I always wondered. I was like, what do you do as an
Yeah.
assistant director? And thank God you clarified, because in my head I was like, oh, you're the assistant to the director, and you're not. You're just trying to make sure everything is still moving on time and
Mm-hmm.
everything is moving smoothly. Okay, got
Yeah.
you. All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's talk about my question about you being one question I've been asking lately of people is like, what gives you more joy because you wear so many hats? Okay. What gives you more joy? What would make
Mm.
you jump out of bed faster? Writing, producing, or directing? Like, which gives you more joy?
I can answer this quickly because I've had a lot of years to think about it. But very quickly, the answer is directing.
Okay.
That said, I will probably continue writing even if I had to only get paid directing. I can't not write. I definitely there was a point when my second child was born, and gosh, we were probably about 4 months in, maybe only 2 months in, and I went to my husband in tears. I was like, I need to write. And I needed to get sleep. I needed to get, I needed all those basic life needs you have of food and sleep and rest and take care of the baby and the toddler. But I was like, I need to write. I am so dry creatively. And so we ended up choosing to, and thankfully we're able to bring in a babysitter for 4 hours a week. And we scheduled it so it was Wednesdays from 10 to 2. And that was just the time. And so on Wednesdays from 10 to 2, I didn't even leave the house. I just went down to my little desk with my little laptop, and for the first few times, I just watched a movie. But after that, that's when I wrote. That's when I wrote Tent City. That's when I wrote. Yeah. So I had those 4 hours once a week to gosh, at one point it was even a poem, but just to be there and be creative and let that flow out of me, because I will never not be able to write. I always have. And so, but that is more of a personal thing. If I was only ever able, someone said to me, "You're going to be successful, but you got to choose," then I would choose directing.
Hmm.
I love the collaboration. I love working with people. I love seeing all the elements come together. I love directing other people's work. I love mining other people's work for all the little clues they've left me. And of course, having those conversations with other screenwriters and what was your intent here? Um, how do you feel if we adjust this thing? And all of that collaboration that goes into the final frame is just wonderful and delicious. And yeah, love it.
Love it. I love it. I thank you so much, Jillian, for coming on. But before you go, I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Where can people find you?
I am on most socials as Fritch Beetle. Um, there's a long story there. We don't have to get into it, but it's FritchBeetle, Fritch Beetle. So I'm on Twitter at Fritch Beetle. I'm on Instagram at Fritch Beetle. I know I'm on BlueSky and I know I'm on Threads, but I don't remember if I said that was Fritch Beetle or just Gillian Fritzsche. But if you find me on Twitter, sorry, X, and on Instagram, you can find me on the other two as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, my second question that I always ask all of my guests. Well,
Mhm.
first, let me go back real quick. Anything else you want to tell us? Any other projects you got coming out that you can tell us about?
Intermission Doors and Driver are the ones in the festival circuit right now. What I'm working on personally is a couple different projects. I've got a feature documentary about the postpartum season for the American mother.
Mhm.
And it's something I've been working on for a while, and I'm getting really close to finishing post-production. It really is about just what kind of crisis we're experiencing in this country in not being able to take care of our mothers well, and the crisis, both from a physical perspective and a mental health perspective, that mothers are walking into their motherhood with because of how unsupported they are, both in a kind of cultural aspect with friends and family, but also in a medical aspect with the lack of care that's regulated, that's mandated, that is the habit right now. We have one 6-week postpartum checkup, and that's it. And if you look at other countries around the world, there is so much more that they are doing that can be done. And so that's what my doc is talking about, looking at, and hoping to finish that up this year. And then I have two other projects I'm hoping, expecting to direct my first feature this year. I've directed a lot of short films, short content things, and I've produced feature material and written, but and I've actually been a script supervisor on a feature, which is crazy, but I'm looking to direct my first feature this year, and so I've optioned a script from another screenwriter, Twitter, that is back before we
Listen,
called it X.
I've said this before. When Twitter was good, the screenwriting community on Twitter was
It
superb.
was awesome.
It was
It was
always
awesome that
support.
time.
You can just
Yeah.
tweet, "I need help" or question, and everybody would jump in and
Script
try to help you.
swaps, all the
We
things. Yes.
swapping scripts. Like I don't know where we're at now. Like I don't know where to find the screenwriters anywhere. Like I'm on Threads and on BlueSky.
Yeah.
Like where's the screenwriting community that was like Twitter? And it's like we can't get back to that because it's messed up now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's different. It's
and
different.
and I have to say I'm so blessed because I have met so many wonderful people from the screenwriting
Yeah.
community from Twitter. I became a
Yeah.
better writer from screenwriting
Yeah.
Twitter, from just
Yeah.
swapping scripts with people, and they're being generous with their time and reading
Yeah.
and giving feedback.
Me too.
I'm praying that we land and
Hmm.
wherever social media page it is and still have that community because we did have so much community.
It was
Twitter
beautiful. It was a
screenwriting.
beautiful, beautiful time back in 2020, 2021,
It
a
was
little
just
bit into 22.
yeah, it was so good. I was just like, oh, this is, I can just go on Twitter and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
or, congratulate a writer because they got an agent or they sold something,
Yeah.
or they optioned something, or they
Or
finished.
they wrote 10 pages that day.
Yeah, they wrote a sentence. We're like,
Yep.
oh, congratulations.
You did it. A little bit forward. It's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's good.
back in the day,
So,
it was great.
so,
So I am
so
so excited to see about a postpartum documentary that you're making. I was just looking on a TikTok at this guy who's, I just feel like sex education needs to be part of school, like, because a lot of people, I'm not just going to put this on me, there's a lot of people who don't believe in postpartum depression.
Hmm.
And it drives me insane that they don't realize the things that we go through as women anyway. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna get back on the crate. The things that we go through as women, hormones, period, just
Mhm.
regular hormones that we got to deal with.
Mhm.
And you put a baby in the mix of that, and you've been carrying it for 9 months, and then you have it, and then that's in having the baby. Hate to say it, it's a beautiful thing, but it's still some trauma with that because you're pain and pushing and worry about having a healthy birth and
You're getting
all
yelled at. The things you hope would happen didn't happen. There's
happen,
a lot of trauma in birth. Yeah.
and then here you have this baby, and something in your brain and your emotions switch off, and you're not the mother that you thought you would be with this baby. And postpartum depression can last for years.
Yeah.
And some people don't believe that it's something that factually happens.
Wow.
And it had this guy who on TikTok who his wife had a baby, and he said, "Oh, she's going through postpartum depression," and I think she's just using that as an excuse not to want to clean up or cook or have sex with me anymore. And I was like, oh. I felt so sorry for his wife. I was just like,
Yeah.
but I love that the comments, people were dragging him in the comments, which he duly needed. He needed that dragging. But I would be so happy when you have postpartum documentary ready to go. Come back, Gillian, so
All
we can
right.
talk about it.
We
And
could talk about it.
I'd love to promote as much as I possibly can on that subject. Well, I'll promote anything that you have
Oh,
on how would you
you're
write
so
it.
kind. I think it's
Yeah,
important to consider, though, we're talking about intermission and we're talking about this documentary. I am producing and directing it, but there's a lot of writing that goes into um,
documentaries.
documentaries. And directors won't often and editors won't often credit themselves as writers because they think, oh, it feels like like a I don't know, like a low budget short film. If you're like, I'm the director, I'm the DP, I'm the editor, about it. And so they get a little itchy about directors and editors who actually have written a documentary
And the
to
thing is,
credit
you have to
themselves as
speak
writing.
over it. You have to talk
Yes.
about what's happening. So you have to, if something has to be written for
Yeah.
a documentary,
Documentaries are written.
it's written. So
It's
it's not,
written.
I mean, it's, yes, you can tell the story, but who's telling the story over the story?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what the hell we looking at as we're watching this
Yeah.
documentary. And so it has to tell a story, it has to flow, it has to have a start and a fade out, like a fade in and fade out. It needs to have
Yeah.
that too.
It's good
Um,
structure, beginning, middle, end.
yeah.
How you put
And
that together if you're not writing?
yeah, I don't think I ever, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say I'll never do a documentary, but I mean that's a stretch. That would be a stretch for me to stretch into that. But it's always good to stretch. It's always good to stretch. I can't let you get away without asking you, how would you write its question?
Okay.
So the question is, Jillian, is there any current or past IP that if you had a chance to be in front of the camera, behind the camera, or in the writer's room, what IP would love to have worked on, and what blessing would you have blessed it with of your
I
time?
I love this question so much. It's a real challenge. I think it's really a good one for any creative person, director or writer, to consider what would I have brought to this project that I love, or what unique spice do I bring? What unique flavor do I bring? And it's challenging. It's a challenging one to think about. So I thought of a couple projects as I was thinking about this question, coming up to the podcast, and a couple projects where I was like, oh, maybe would have written that episode differently, or oh, would have loved to have worked on this because it just sounded fun. But when we come right down to it, the one I want to talk about is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I think that was such a great show. It was the very beginning, just telling us that women are strong, but it starts with these three gloriously flawed women, and how how they are honestly figuring out their identity. That's why I'm so drawn to it, and of course, oh gosh, what's his name? No, I'm blanking. Titus, thank you.
It is. Oh, okay. Because I was
Yeah.
like, who, which one?
Yeah, no. Yeah, they really are kind of figuring out who they are. And so when that episode came out, or that season came out, I just loved it so much. So writing spec episodes was really big at the time. And so I wrote between episode one and episode, or sorry, season one and season two, I wrote a spec for season two, for the kind of first episode of season two. And, at this point, that's completely dated. Episode two or season two pilot has come and gone, and the whole show is in the closet now. But, in my season two, pilot episode, I had them coming back from, where they had gone at the end of season one, and they're finishing the road trip to get back to New York City. And Kimmy decides that she needs a life coach to kind of figure out how to move on with her life. And then my episode is Kimmy Gets a Coach. It's available on the stunt list from 2024. Shout out to the stunt list. So if you want to read it, Kimmy Gets a Coach. I've got the log line right here for this episode. Kimmy helps Jacqueline put her life back together after the divorce. Titus finds inspiration in helping a young entrepreneur. And one of the fun things about this is that they also discover bed bugs. And so if production had wanted to, it's New York City. If production had wanted to, scrap the set from season one and start with a completely new set, it would have been a great opportunity to do that. Because
Oh my God.
they start with discovering those, and what chaos ensues from there. So
I mean, the bed bugs alone with Titus.
yeah.
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
That would have been hilarious.
Well, it's available to read on the Stunt List 2024. And it was a lot of fun to write. I think that being on that set, I would have loved to have been in the writer's room, but I think more so I would have loved to have been able to direct on that season. So that's something I'm working towards as a writer, as a director, getting features on the board, and then gonna try to get some directing, shadowing opportunities, and try to get into television directing at some point. So that's the goal. You can keep directing features, of course, too. That's possible, but
Ugh. And I know you will. I know you
uh,
will. I'm
thank you, friend.
I just want everyone to see who you are and your talent, and I just want everybody to see what I see because I know you, and I know that you know I've seen your work, and I know you as a person, and I just know that God, just the door just needs to be kicked open for you, and I'm just excited that the door is cracked. It's cracked.
Things are happening.
So, and I'm so ready for when the door kicks open for you and see what comes out of it. You are always welcome. You already know this to come back to How Would You Write It. I definitely, like I said, when your postpartum documentary comes out, please come back. I would
All
love
right.
to talk to you.
Yeah.
With that being said, thank you so much, Gillian, for coming on How Would You Write It?
Thank you for having me.
And to the audience or whoever's watching at this time, and you're interested in this industry and trying to still work on or trying to figure out a way to get in this industry, or doubting your craft, if no one has told you today that they believe in you, I'm telling you, I believe in you. It can be scary pursuing this dream. It could be lonely pursuing this dream. It can be exhausting pursuing this dream. But you have a gift, and the world deserves to see it. So keep going. Don't get in your way. Don't let anyone else get in your way. You keep going, and we'll see you next time on How Would You Write It?